what's going on in Texas and why is there all this excitement and enthusiasm? While at the same time, you're the belly of the beast when it comes to gerrymandering and Greg Abbott. And it's really a complicated place. Help us out a bit.
Yeah. And for your viewers and folks who don't live in Texas or are unfamiliar with the state, first thing to tell you is that what you see right now, the most obscene abortion ban in America, no exception for rape, incest, life of the mother, that $7.25 an hour minimum wage that I mentioned earlier, the fact that we're the least insured state in America, we lead the country in childhood diabetes deaths as a consequence of that. Worst foster care system of America. I mean, hundreds of kids die in state custody because of the absolute negligence and corruption and fraud that is endemic throughout the system. I just want everybody to know that that is reflective of our political leaders. That is not reflective of the people of Texas. This is an extraordinary, beautiful, diverse state. But Jamie, as you pointed out, it is also the most voter suppressed state in the union. When Shelby v. Holder was decided in 2013, which gutted the Civil Rights Act, the state that made the most of that opportunity to disenfranchise voters was Texas. Harshest voter ID law was adopted within minutes, literally, of Shelby v. Holder being decided. One ballot drop-off location per county, including in Harris County, which has 5 million people in it. Racial gerrymandering of our congressional districts, and the list goes on and on and on. When I ran for governor and you had that abortion ban on the ballot, you had those 19 beautiful kids who were slaughtered in their classroom in Uvalde that year on the ballot. When you had all these other things on the ballot, 9 million eligible registered Texans did not cast a ballot. And it's not because they're lazy. It's not because they don't love this democracy. It's not because they don't care about those issues that we just talked about. It is because this state makes both an art and a science of keeping people who would challenge those in power from ever being able to cast that ballot or have their vote counted or their voice heard. So you just mentioned this roster of extraordinary candidates. We are amidst an embarrassment of riches because down ballot from them, there are even more. But we have a real challenge in getting through these obstacles put in our place. So our organization, Powered by People, in fact, I'm going to be on the road bright and early tomorrow morning to Houston, Texas, where I will post up at the University of Houston with 36 of my fellow Powered by People volunteers, all of whom are sworn volunteer deputy registrars. We'll meet total strangers on that campus, confirm their voter registration status, update it for them, or get them registered if they're not yet on the rolls. And then we will personally, not through a broadcast text or email, stay in touch with them over the course of the next 11 months to make sure they get their voter registration card in the mail, that they know the form of voter ID that they need to bring to the ballot box, who the candidates are, when early voting starts, where their polling location is. And then we stay on their ass until they cast that ballot. So every day of early voting, until that voter is checked off on my list, I say, hey, Jamie, it's Beto again. I know you couldn't vote yesterday. Do you think you can get out today during your lunch break? Here's your nearest early voting location. It is a problem that we're solving not with money and not with technology, but with volunteer human labor. We have thousands of volunteers who are deployed around the entire state of Texas on most major college campuses doing this work. And so we hope that we're going to be part of the lift that gets James Tallarico or Colin Allred or Gina Hinojosa, who's running for governor, over the line to ensure that a Democrat wins a statewide election in Texas for the first time in more than 30 years. It's been 3 decades that we have been in the wilderness. And I hope everyone agrees that it couldn't happen at a more important time. The biggest, most existential challenge we've ever faced, wouldn't it be poetic justice if it were Texas that rode to the rescue at the end of the day? So that's how we're going to get over this. That's how we're going to get through this. And for anyone who's got spare time on their hands, there are volunteer opportunities with Powered by People that you can perform at a distance by staying in touch with these newly registered voters. And we'd love to have you on the team.
What you're doing with Powered by People is so critical. And this weekend's events sound really important and really critical to what we need to do going forward. I'm going to semi-answer a little bit my own question as well. One of the things I love is, the American experiment, right? Like, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, most of these other countries have split up into, the continent's split up into countries. I mean, it makes sense. Texas is just so damn big. I mean, and it's interesting. I've actually traveled probably more in Texas almost in any other state. I mean, I'm from New York. I've been living in LA for 20 plus years. I've been from Lufkin to Houston to Quanah to Dallas. And, I've had a jalapeno burger at Brahms and, and barbecue throughout the whole state. And it's you've been to every county multiple times. I mean, it is such a wildly diverse state. And if you can just get those people to vote and get these voter suppression laws, I'm optimistic, especially with leaders like you guys. Although I did try and recruit Jasmine to move to California when her district gets gerrymandered, so if I'll still take her. But I mean that's part of the beauty and challenge that you're facing. It's really is like no other state there is.
You're absolutely right. And some of those places you mentioned, like Lufkin in East Texas, or if you go to West Texas in the Panhandle, Amarillo or Dalhart, or Midland or Odessa. I mean, unfortunately, present company excluded, our party long ago wrote these places off and stopped showing up and stopped fielding candidates and stopped supporting local parties. And Democrats were left to their own devices. And on the ballot in November, you would only have Republicans. And so there was no one making the other side of the argument for public schools, for abortion access, for a $15 or $20 an hour minimum wage, for the ability to be able to see a doctor. More rural hospital closures in Texas than in any other state, disproportionately damning or destroying these small Republican represented communities. Why? Because Democrats weren't there. And that's, Jamie, that's part of the reason, going back to 2017, 2018, that I made it my mission to go to these places and listen to and learn from the people that I wanted to fight for and serve in the US Senate, and also to see what I could do to help invest in local leaders and local infrastructure. And I'm doing that right now. Last week, I was in College Station in Brazos County. I was in Waco, Texas, and McLennan. I was in McKinney and Collin County. I was in Fort Worth and Tarrant. Those are four big red counties where we are not fielding Democrats on the ballot. And I went to all four of those places to recruit Democrats to run for state house. And with the message, this is a tough pitch, okay? But look, you may not win your race, but the fact that you're willing to run, you put yourself out there, means we're more likely to win a race here in 2028 or in 2030. And the net new votes that you generate by having the courage of putting your name and your neck out there means that we're going to send votes up to the top of the ticket, to the governor's race, the AG race, the LG race, and importantly, the US Senate race. For Christ's sake, Texas could decide the balance of power in the US Senate in 2026 and completely change the landscape and what is possible for America in 2027. By running for office in Waco, Texas, you can make that happen. So that's the opportunity we have. And we've got about a month, más o menos, until the filing deadline ends on the 8th of December. And it is my mission on earth to make sure that every single ballot position is filled by a Democrat, no matter how red those counties are, because it's only by the sum of all that courage that you get the victories possible at Senate, governor, and other important positions at the top.